We have a ton to go over in today's video. If you want to play The Last of Us Part 2's multiplayer, a beta could be here sooner than we think. Also, speaking of betas, Ghost Recon Breakpoint is scheduled to have an open beta, and that is set for September 26th until the 30th. It's also getting a brand new trailer, so that's pretty cool. We'll talk all about that. No Man's Sky Beyond Patch 2.12 is out right now, and that is bringing some improvements, so Hello Games continues to stay committed to that. We'll talk that at the end of this video. But first up, The Last of Us Part 2 multiplayer beta could be here sooner than you think. Industry insider ZHughGX took to Twitter to announce that press members will be the first to get some hands-on time with The Last of Us Part 2 for a whole 3 hours while at the event that is scheduled for later this month, which does seemingly suggest that the game is in a really strong position and close to the end of development. What this also could mean is that since 3 hours are readily available for the demo, we could also see some sort of multiplayer beta arrive over the coming months. As pointed out by Push Square, 3 hours of single story campaign is quite a large chunk to be shown at the time, so a multiplayer content included would probably be more practical. If they're gonna show off something like 3 hours of gameplay, it would be really huge if they showed off 3 hours of single player content, and honestly, I really would not like that. I like to be kept in the dark a little bit when it comes to a game like The Last of Us Part 2. The Last of Us is a game that's built on these exhilarating moments, these thrilling moments, and you don't want all of these moments spoiled to you. It's okay that we see a big moment here or there in a gameplay trailer or whatever the case may be, but if you're throwing out 3 hours of gameplay, that's gonna contextualize a lot of that content, and it's really gonna spoil a significant chunk of the game. I remember when we saw the Uncharted 2 gameplay back in E3 2009, yeah, it's been quite a while for that, but they showed off that one iconic moment of Nate against a helicopter, and that was like a 10 or 15 minute sequence, might have been even shorter than that, but that gave us enough of a taste of the game while not spoiling all too much, and that moment still was an awesome moment when you played through the main game, so I want something similar to that in The Last of Us Part 2. Honestly, even an hour of gameplay would be way too long. If they're talking about press having 3 hours to try out some of the single player section, maybe they can play an entire mission and maybe that content won't even be revealed to the public, whatever the case may be. I do not want to see 3 hours of gameplay of The Last of Us Part 2 single player coming out online. That is not something I want to see at all. I've stayed away from the Death Stranding 50-minute gameplay demo. That's what Hideo Kojima suggested, and I don't think Naughty Dog would ideally let players see 3 hours of The Last of Us Part 2 single player component before the release. That just doesn't make a lot of sense to me, so I would imagine that some sort of multiplayer beta will be happening. And Madrid Games Week 2019, the following month, which will run from October 3rd until October 6th, Sony did confirm that The Last of Us Part 2 will be there at the PlayStation booth with different experience available for both The Last of Us Part 2 and Death Stranding during the fan-focused expo. Obviously, some information will come out then, but the event that you really need to be aware about is September 24th. That is the date where The Last of Us Part 2 is probably going to see its significant information reveal, whether that be a release date, details on the multiplayer component, details on the single player, new gameplay. All of that stuff should be coming September 24th, emanating from Los Angeles, and they're kind of hyping this up. This singular event is going to focus just on The Last of Us Part 2. We've had some major gaming events recently, whether it be an E3, a Gamescom, or a TGS, but that was encompassing the showcase of several games. With The Last of Us Part 2, Sony has dedicated a specific event highlighting just this game, and I think that goes to show the magnitude of a release like The Last of Us Part 2. Incredibly excited for it. Hopefully we get some concrete details come September 24th, which is just shy of a week away at this point. Okay, speaking of betas, here's one that we have some concrete information on. An open beta for Ghost Recon Breakpoint will be running from September 26th to the 30th on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. Ubisoft has officially announced that. Additionally, the company released a new live-action trailer titled Squadda featuring rapper Lil Wayne and directed by David Leitch of Minted Content. A television commercial version of the trailer will also air during key television moments, including Thursday Night Football on October 3rd and the debut of Friday Night SmackDown on October 4th. That is both on Fox. Here is an overview of the title coming directly from Ubisoft. Ghost Recon Breakpoint is a military shooter set in a diverse, hostile, and mysterious open world that you can play entirely solo or in 4-player co-op. Injured without support and hunted down by ex-ghosts, you must fight to survive while lost in Aurora, choose the right alliances, and decide how to take down your toughest enemy yet. Obviously, this is the follow-up title to Ghost Recon Wildlands, and I thought that game turned out to be rather good with all of its various updates. I know a lot of you guys at this point haven't checked that game out, but if you have some interest in Breakpoint, again, an open beta will be running from the 26th to the 30th. I imagine that all you're going to need is a PlayStation Plus subscription, and you will be good to go. Could see this being one of the better games of 2019, especially in this fall season, and if you're on PC, it will be a part of Uplay Premium Premium, which is their new monthly subscription service. Who knows if at some point that'll make the transition to PlayStation 4. At this point, we haven't gotten any details on that, but nonetheless, that's something to be mindful of as well. And of course, this is a game that is absolutely reliant on its multiplayer component, so you want to jump into the game with a couple of friends in tow, and that's how you're going to get the best experience possible, so keep that in mind as well. Alright, moving on from that, another game that has been significantly updated is No Man's Sky. Comparing where this game was at from 2016 to where it is now is absolutely night and day, and No Man's Sky Beyond patch 2.12 is out right now, and it's bringing improvements to PlayStation VR support. It's a pretty big update at 4.7 gigabytes, but as usual, Hello Games is packed full of enhancements of all kinds. In addition to, quote, significantly improved image quality on PlayStation VR, the update includes new events in the Nexus, new customization options, rebalanced rewards for missions, and a huge number of bug fixes. The full patch notes have been posted, and I do want to go over that a little bit. Specifically, we've got Nexus mission rewards, Quicksilver reward missions. Once each day, a mission rewarding Quicksilver will become available at the Nexus. These Quicksilver missions can queue up to a maximum stack of 3, so you won't miss out even if you don't have the opportunity to play every day, but it does limit at 3, so just be mindful of that. You've also got encrypted missions. These rare high-priority missions offer especially interesting and lucrative rewards. Mysterious in nature, their requirements are secret until the moment the mission commences. They also go over a lot of items that are being added, and they also noted that they've added new customization items to Quicksilver Shop, a full suit of Viking-style armor. Progress towards unlocking these items is achieved by community-wide completion of Nexus missions, fixed a number of mission flow issues in standard Nexus missions, increased the reward from standard Nexus missions, improved the visuals of the mission start UI in Nexus missions, introduced a number of PC VR and PlayStation VR rendering optimization, so that's very nice, significantly improved image quality in PlayStation VR, reduced blurriness caused by TAA jitter, and fixed low-quality terrain atmosphere jaggies, introduced a number of general PC optimizations, introduced an optimization to region decoration, increased the stack multiplier on a significant number of products, fixed an issue that prevented larval cores and hypnotic eyes from being used as cooking ingredients, fixed bad data in the nutrient refiner recipes for various cheeses and cheese-based products, fixed an issue that prevented ships, multi-tools, etc. being rotated in the inventory, fixed an issue that caused the Blaze Javelin not to work in PlayStation VR, and a bunch of other fixes were introduced as well. I don't want to go over everything, or else we'll be here all day, but suffice to say that No Man's Sky has made some incredible gains since its initial launch. This is a game that I constantly go back to, that if you ever write out a game from being recoverable, whether it be a Fallout 76, whether it be an Anthem, although in the case of Anthem, I really think there's been way too much damage been done to that, but you look at games like No Man's Sky, Final Fantasy XIV, even ESO, compare where those games were at launch to what they are now, especially in the case of No Man's Sky and something like a Final Fantasy XIV, it is completely night and day, and best of all, the game is available much cheaper than the price it was available for at launch, so altogether, you're getting a much better experience for a fraction of the cost. I believe you can get No Man's Sky pretty regularly for like 20 bucks now. It's got VR support in there as well, and it's one of the standout VR experiences on PlayStation VR, and that VR experience continues to get better with this update as well. And that's gonna conclude this video. Again, The Last of Us Part 2 is gonna have a significant information drop very soon. They're noting 3 hours of gameplay, at least that's what the press is gonna be able to play come September 24th. Really hope that's not 3 hours of single-player gameplay, because I think that is way too much. Sometimes it's best to be kept in the dark about certain aspects of a game, and I think showing off 3 hours of gameplay, that's just a little bit too much. If it's just 3 hours of straight single-player gameplay, if it's, say, half an hour of single-player gameplay, and then they could play, 2.5 hours or 3 hours of multiplayer, that's absolutely fine. But we don't have details on that quite yet. Ghost Recon Breakpoint Open Beta is set for September 26th to the 30th. A new live-action trailer featuring Lil Wayne was also produced, and again, the Open Beta will be available for everyone come the 26th if you are a PlayStation Plus subscriber. And lastly, No Man's Sky Beyond has gotten a significant patch with patch 2.12, bringing improvements to PlayStation VR support and a lot of UI improvements and extra content as well. That's gonna conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.